Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're going to give you a little excitement and entry as we get into it. I apologize. I was excited and forgot that we needed to do a show today. I was watching the updates from ESPN in the first 4 game featuring Howard. Looking at that, and then I turned around. I'm like, Drew was like, "Are we doing the show?" I was like, "My fault." Let's go ahead and play that intro. I'll play the video.
We congratulate Coach Howard Smith and the Panthers on a wonderful season.
Congratulations to the Prairie A&M Panthers. I had a chance to do that video there. Also, obviously, we want to congratulate, again, last week we talked about Tennessee State and what they were able to do on the men's side, winning the OVC. You had Howard University. Congratulations, as they did the double-double, just like Southern was seeking to do. Howard wins it on the women's and men's side. Southern wins it on the women's side. The men's was in the championship game, and as a fan here, I must admit, fortunately for me, they were not able to do the double-double, but wanted to certainly shout all those that were in the finalists, Alabama State representing for the women's side, Southern on the men's side, Norfolk State, on the women's side, and North Carolina Central on the men's side were in the finalists. That close to cutting it down. A lot of history was there. I did the Prairie View not only because I had the history with that going on, but you also had a little bit of history that took place in terms of the SWAC and what they were able to accomplish for that matter. Check this out, Drew. I know you get into this as well. You talking about Prairie View being in the money. You're talking about like $3.2 million when you think about the tournament and the percentage that you get from the conference. It is a 2.2 in terms of a payout. You win that first 4, you essentially add another $1.5 million to that, or $1.2 million to that. But remember, Cricket Celebration Bowl, Drew. Guess who participated in that? Prairie View.
I was there.
That was after obviously winning the SWAC championship game, which they got $1 million for. Then they get $1 million for going to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. So nobody has done the double-double in this modern era. When I say modern era, I'm talking about the 12-member expansion era of the SWAC. I'd be remiss if we didn't do a little bit of history, though. Alcorn State in 1984 won football and men's basketball. What was special about that season, they won the regular season football championship, basketball championship in terms of the regular season, and the SWAC men's tournament. No championship game was at the time, and nor was there a bowl game. However, they did go to the FCS playoffs. Jackson State in 2007 won a football championship, and a men's basketball championship. They won the Eastern Division of football, SWAC championship game, and the SWAC men's basketball tournament. They did not win the regular season that year. They were in the running, and there was no bowl game at the time. Their rival in a lot of ways, Southern in 2013, won football and men's basketball. They won the SWAC football Western Division, SWAC championship game, and SWAC men's basketball tournament. They were not the regular season champions. They were in for it. No bowl game at that time. So Prairie View in 2025, football and men's basketball, they won the SWAC football Western Division, SWAC championship game, and obviously after you seeing that in those that were not asleep asunder, you know they won the SWAC basketball men's tournament championship, which means they earned the berth to the Cricket Celebration Bowl and the NCAA Tournament. And in this modern era, that is a jackpot in terms of we are in money. So celebration for all those. Shout out to AD Golf. Obviously, heavy as the head that wears the crown. In terms of him being the AD, getting a lot of credit, bringing the football coach, and then the men's basketball coach gets it done.
Yeah. And Emmett brought up one I think you might have missed, Dr. Cavil, and I think it was 2003 when Alabama A&M won football and basketball in the same year. Our very own Coach Petway was the basketball coach during that time. I do not remember who the football coach was at Alabama A&M during that run. That was one Brian brought up on Sports Wrap on Sunday.
I'll check it out. I may have missed that, and certainly will look corrected. I did hear him talking about that, but I didn't see it. SWAC.
Oh, my bad. Brian quickly corrected me. It was 0405.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Shout out. Do not want to leave out the Bulldogs. Obviously, my better half is a Bulldog, so she would not feel comfortable if I did not acknowledge that in terms of what goes on there.
Edwin says Mr. Wishbone was A&M's football coach during that run.
They had a defense that time. They were really on the defensive side of things in terms of what they got done there.
Yeah. But
again, that was that year they won when Coach Petaway won the championship. I remember they won both the regular season and the tournament. The tournament was in Birmingham. Incredible game. They had some point guards that were one of them that was fantastic, solid team, obviously, to win the regular season championship. I do remember that on the basketball side. So a lot of good stuff in terms of what that looks like.
And I do remember that. If I remember correctly, that was a year, I don't remember if it was that year or the year afterwards, where the SIAC and the SWAC both played in what was called Fair Park Arena then. It's called the Bill Harris Arena now. And we would always play in back-to-back weeks whenever we had our tournaments in Birmingham.
So the record has Alabama State winning in 2004.
Yeah.
Alabama lost in 2005. They won in 2006. So that may be off. I'm not sure if that was correct. Yeah, I didn't think that was what I had there.
Yeah. But it's all good.
That
but
was the linebacker was the MVP, Johnny Baldwin. As I said, they had a heck of a team in terms of that time. Yeah, I think Petway won the championship in 2003. So I think there's a little off in terms of the years there.
Yeah. But Dr. Cavil, I am so disappointed in you, Dr. Cavil.
What's that?
I haven't heard congratulations, Drew, on the Great Morehouse Championship that we won the week before your team won, Dr. Cavil.
Oh, you wasn't on the show.
I wasn't on the show. I was too busy administrating
to be
on the show.
I will congratulate you since you were not here publicly to get your congratulations.
Yeah.
Job well done. And we'll talk a little bit more in terms of where Morehouse is as we get into the rankings in the second segment. But yeah, a lot going on. Southern, with their championship, they went back to back. I give a little updates in terms of what that looks like. So that was quite a bit fascinating in terms of what was going on then. Then obviously you get some bids with the WB NIT in terms of those updates. WBIT, Alabama A&M, was able to get a round there. You also have on the SWAC TV right now, Alcorn State, as they got a bid in terms of their tournament, and they're facing off against South Alabama. South Alabama has some construction going on with the arena, so that game was being held at Alcorn in terms of that matchup. The good thing about it, home teams get to have the broadcast rights, so that game is on SWAC TV, so check it out. In terms of the notes there, a lot of credit goes out to show what's going on in terms of that, and so that is the Braves on the women's side. You also have Maryland Eastern Shore, Norfolk State getting those bids to the WNIT. So big time, a lot of teams playing. Near halftime here, 59 seconds left. Howard has a 9-point lead, leading 47-38 against UMBC. But with that being said, I'm going to go to you, Drew. What are some additional thoughts that you want to share at this time?
First of all, I do need to let all the HBCU faithful know that last night I did do a welfare check on one Stephen J. Gaither, and he did survive from last night. You know, he was very upset at what happened to his Winston Salem women. If you did not see that game, oh my God, it was painful to watch the last 20 seconds. But
I did not see it, but you gave really good updates, and I was sick just from reading the updates. How close you are to closing out. And one of the things I was going to say to open this up is that while some at the mid-major are closing their season, you have the major division basically open up their tournament season, except for Langston on the men's side. And I was saying that it was that close to Winston-Salem State not fitting into that on the women's side, but you go ahead closing out your point, that illustrating just how close they were.
Yeah, up 3 with 20 seconds to go, a couple of late turnovers, actually up 4, I believe, with 20 seconds to go, a couple of late turnovers, and when I say late turnovers, 2 turnovers in the last 20 seconds of the ball game, and a missed free throw cost Winston-Salem State an opportunity to knock off the number 1 seed in their region. So that like I said, that was painful to watch there on yesterday. Everybody, like you said, Dr. Cavil, except for Langston on the mid-major level, Langston men is done. I agree. I do agree. I thought that was a foul on the ball that was knocked out of bounds, but come on now. Let's be real, Blue Jacket. You don't want to give the referees an opportunity to take the game away from you. A foul call here, exactly right. A 50-50 call there. You know, you don't want it. Protect the ball, make your free throws. We don't even talk about the referees right now, but this is basketball. But shout out to Winston-Salem making history. First time they've advanced that far in their history of their women's program. Obviously, we know their men's program has done tremendously good. Union giving one away the day before,
right?
Also was painful to watch. Union pretty much having the lead throughout. Fayetteville State giving one away in overtime. So our Division II is having a great opportunity to advance. But yeah, it's been some painful but growing pains as we get these teams go. And last thing before we go to break, I want to comment on something else Blue Jacket throughout here, Dr. Cavil, because I really have no news. We've all been watching basketball. It felt like there was nothing going on last week besides the SWAC and the BIAC tournament, although there was plenty of other sports going on. But Blue Jacket, I, along with other people within our conference, have expressed that opinion to go back to a 20 to 22 game schedule, 21 game schedule, whatever we need to do, 24 conference games. Still left the SIAC with one team in as the number 8 seed. So the bounce that we were hoping to get from playing more conference games, more Division II games, more in-region games, we did not get it, but it is only a small sample size. We've only done it for 1 year. Let's see what happens next year and see if the trend turns or if it's more of the same. If it's more of the same after next year, you have to start reconsidering. Do you stay with a 24 scheduled conference game in the SIAC, or do you scale it back? But Blue Jacket, it only works if you scale it back if every team in the conference goes out and schedules Division II competition. If they're going to take those games to continue to play NAIAs and our Sisters of the Poor with games that do not count, it's going to hurt the conference rating overall. So everybody in the SIAC has to step up and make sure that they play the type of games that they need to play. Yeah, and you're right, Coach Green. It did work on the women's side. It also helped that you had two teams yourself with Edward Waters and Miles, where Miles started off in the first rankings with only 2-3 losses, and Edward Waters with their great conference record. But the one thing that worked on the women's side that didn't work on the women's side, Coach Green, y'all won those out of conference games. The men's teams didn't.
I was going to add the point that I think we always forget the fact it's not just playing the team.
You got to win them.
You got to win. So everybody gets excited and saying playing these non-conference games, FCS, whether it's football or basketball. And to the point is, if you're going to play them and you're talking about trying to get the bump from playing them, you got to win, those games. And if you're not prepared to win those games, then I don't think it matters. And then you should be looking at a different decision about what you're trying to do. Again, I did want to make sure that the clarification was there, as we said. Alabama A&M won the basketball tournament in 2005. That's the 2004-2005 season. They played in the championship game in 2005. They lost to Grambling, and they came back in 2006 and won it. And there's a couple of occasions where you have folks that won it in the same calendar year, but not the same academic year. And that's what throws some people off. There are 4 or 5 times, even going back to the 60s, when you talk about Prairie View, for example, as I was digging in the crates and trying to figure it out. Prairie View dominated, had some teams in men's basketball and football where they won from 60 to 64. They won football championship in 1960, again in 63 and 64. In between that, they had basketball championships in 62 and 63, including a NAIA championship on the men's side in 63. And so that was a heck of a year. But even then, little off when you talking about the fact they didn't do it in the same academic or athletic sporting calendar year, but they did it in the same full year. We'll take our first break and come back on the other side. With that being said, halftime, Howard is up 49-41 over UMBC. Continue to get it done. Bison are looking really good in terms of the play that happened. Let's take our first break, come back on the other side. We're going to give some mid-major updates. We'll start with the women's side. Those is pretty much all done. So we'll keep it going as we wait to see what happens on the men's side. But pretty much this should be basically your final ranking. So I'm intrigued to see what A.D. Drew has to say about that. And we'll do that when we get back on the other side.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside HBCU Sports Lab. Let's go ahead and bring up our breakdown for week number 11, mid-major division for the women's basketball poll ranking. Obviously, as we get into week 11 and you're focusing on those teams at the top, they pretty much stay with the top 5. So no team dropped out this week. In this case, we didn't have any of those teams actually even participate in postseason for the most part. But let's look at those receiving votes. We did have Virginia State Trojans sitting at 20. Moving on here. Did I need an update here in terms of – this is the men's ranking. Let's look at the women's first.
This is the right one. Oh yeah, that's it. My fault.
Yeah, no problem. I was like, something ain't looking right here.
Yeah.
So no teams
Miles.
dropped out this week, but we do have receiving votes with Lane Lady Dragons sit at 22-6, 19-5. Yeah, Bowie State Lady Bulldogs sit at 19-8, 10-5 as they finish the season. Oakwood Lady Ambassadors 16-8, 10-2. Wiley Lady Wildcats 13-7, 9-3. Paul Quinn Lady Tigers 14-10, 8-4 in terms of what they were able to do this season. Let's look at the top 5, and we are welcoming in Wilton as he will get in the mix and tell us his thoughts on these top 5. Talking about perfect timing. See if he is smiling at the end or does he frown up in terms of what the top 5 looks like. You know, obviously Wilton is solid. He has his own top 5, so he has something to really go back and forth in terms of his thoughts. We'll see what that looks like. Edward Water Lady Tigers sit at 23-6, 21-3, 33 points. They remain in the 5th spot. These teams all have 20-plus records to let you know just how tough it is to be in the top 5 in the mid-major. Winston Lady Lions have really had a great season. Not much success in the playoffs as they lost their first game, which a lot of these teams did until you get to the top of this poll ranking. But they finished at 24-6, 18-4. When you talk about the Lady Lions, 47 points, they stay in that 4th position. At number 3, Fayetteville State Lady Broncos, 21-6, 13-3, 54 points in terms of what they were able to do, 55 to be exact. Then you have number 2, Miles Lady Golden Bears, sit at 25-6, 20-4. with 72 points. Winston-Salem State Lady Rams 28-4 in terms of the first year for the coach. Getting that type of record is tremendous. They actually earned all 10 first place votes and have 100 points in terms of the rankings. So they are clearly the number one team, at least in terms of the poll rankings. We'll see if these two gentlemen agree with that. Wilton, we're going to let you jump in here and go first in terms of your thoughts on the poll ranking.
So, Doc, looking at the top five is, pretty much what I kind of projected it to be. You had, obviously, at number 5, Edward Waters. I maybe would have raised them up maybe by.
Oh, you taking them up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, I would have made but one spot. I maybe would have raised them up by one spot. I'm okay with Langston being at 4. Fayetteville State at number 3, I'm okay with. I just think back to that CIAA championship game against Winston-Salem State, and they just really put it on them like bad. Miles obviously would be number 2. Winston-Salem State number 1. Shout out to the season that they had with Coach Tier and what she was able to do with that program to go get a win in that first round, and then of course. Obviously, the season came to an end for them, but an incredible season for Winston-Salem State. Excited to see what they can build on for the upcoming season. But the standard has been set, and granted, you never know how things can change based off of transfer portal, NIL players, hopping in and out and going to different schools. But definitely proud of what Winston-Salem State, really all of these teams and what they were able to do this year in this season.
Great points. Eddie Drew, where are you on the poll ranking for week number 11?
I think he's muted.
I've got to fire the producer for not opening my mic up. I don't know what I'm gonna do with him. Anyway, in general, I'm good with this, but let's just have a debate because everybody can't be in agreement with the poll. It doesn't make for a good podcast. So I gotta create me a debate. All right. If you take Miles won the SIAC championship, but they had a bad showing in the first round of the tournament. Fayetteville State lost the CIAA championship, but had a much better showing in the tournament for the last game. Only lose about three points to Seton Hill. Number 4 Seton Hill, Fayetteville State was number 5. So do you weight those last 2 performances, and how do you weight those last 2 performances? Fayetteville lost 2 games in a row, but the last time out, Fayetteville looked a little bit better than Miles. Do you have some recency bias? Just put it out there for discussion. And number 2, Edward Waters, Langston. Both lost in the first round of their conference tournaments. Both lost in the first round of their national tournaments. But Edward Waters had a better game in their first round of the national tournament than Langston did. But Coach Green, you may want to turn your head away from. I can't get that 30 points out of my head, Coach Green. I can't get it out of my head. So you can make the arguments. I'm fine with it, but I just wanted to put some stuff out there that you could possibly discuss. And there could be a discussion of Lane in place of Langston and bumping Edward Waters up one spot, since Lane did play Miles in the championship game and gave Miles a run for their money in the championship game.
The other thing is to think about is Langston did win the regular season for their conference.
True.
And so I think the computers and probably some people voting probably gave Langston an edge because they got an outright championship. When like you said, everything else was pretty much equal in terms of tournament upset early for both teams, and then tournament upset in terms of how they were bounced out of their respective national tournaments.
And Edward Waters did win their division.
I think different divisions, and people may have their druthers of one being, slightly better than others, and I certainly respect that. I think, though, what's challenging when you do this, it's almost like you're picking them apart, and you be like, one has 24 wins, one has 23 wins. They won the division, won a conference championship.
I think it's
tournament. You talking about teams that had great seasons, and 4 or 5. I agree with you. I wouldn't be mad if you put them anyway, but I kind of wanted to go out celebrating the fact that those top 5 teams are pretty much unequivocal about where you put it. A solid when you basically talk about Winston-Salem State, their magic season, and how deep they were in the playoffs, and just how close they were being, almost Elite 8 type team. There's no question there. None of us say that. So I did want to celebrate those top 5 teams, if you would, Drew. Put them right up there one more time so everybody can see the strength of these basketball programs. And you have Miles that has done it on pretty much both sides. Fayetteville State that has done it on both sides. And Langston that has done it on both sides. And when I say both sides, men's and women's basketball. So great job from both of y'all in terms of your comments, and wanted to leave it.
You just lost your dog. Lost your volume.
Part of it, term. A little volume there. Let's take our first break and go on the other side.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell them I'm hungry.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
I hear you,
Mike
Doc.
Watson, Charles Bishop, 80 Drews back in the game. Man, those those computer gremlins, you know. And
the sad thing is,
they got nervous thinking you talking about something else.
Yeah, and I saw your meter moving on the screen, but I'm like, I can't hear him.
I get you being nervous like that. I certainly understand. Second half hasn't started for the first four. And again, the Howard Bison lead UMBC Terriers 49-41. So it's a good start to the first half. Let them close it out. Sure could see me at getting that second unit. Getting a win for Howard would be tremendous. I was seeing something out there talking about Howard Bison and their coach in terms of what they've done. He's pretty much equaled their historic success over his first decade, 5-6 seasons at Howard. So it's fascinating when you think about how fortunes can turn with the changing of the conference somehow, a little conference churning, bring in the right coach, and things sure get done pretty fast there. So fascinating when you think about that. So they call it the KB effect over there on HU Bison Sports. Before KB, 48 seasons. Check this out. 3 21 seasons during that period. 4 regular season titles. 3 MEAC tournament titles and 2 NCAA Division I tournament appearances as the Bison became D1 in 1980. The first season they won the MEAC tournament, there was not a bid to the NCAA tournament. Howard under KB, Wilton, AD, 6 seasons versus 48 seasons. 2 20-win seasons, 2 regular season titles, 3 MEAC tournament titles, and 3 NCAA Division I tournament appearances. The MEAC has some coaches over there when you think about Norfolk State and North Carolina Central in terms of those 3 coaches, almost half the conference in terms of what they've done over their career, with KB doing it just over the last 6 seasons. That is amazing when you think about it. Kudos for the AD for hiring him. If you go to HBCU Game Day YouTube channel, they have the interviews for the NCAA. We may get the player version up and play you a little clip at the end of the show so you can listen into it. But if you go and listen to the higher thing, you have the coaches on the second half. And Coach got really emotional talking about how he lost his first season and the second season, and the AD stuck with him and turned it around. And he talked about, obviously, how special it was to be at Howard, where he had to create that winning culture when he was part of a winning culture at Duke. So it was uniquely different in terms of experience there, in terms of creating it, particularly doing it at HBCUs where he was mentoring black men. So he did not shy away from that. So kudos to his comments. If you get a chance, I think it's something powerful to listen to. So I did want to share that as we get back into it. Things have opened back up, and the Bison are starting off well where they started off the game. They now lead 56 to 48, as it was 46. It was 10 as UMBC just scored. So back to 8. We'll see what that looks like as they move on that and keep you updated. But now it's time to get into mid-major poll rankings, top 5 for the men. See what these gentlemen have to say about on the men's side. I have some intriguing dialogue I want to ask you, so I'm fascinated to see what you all have to say, not just about the polls, but how things might finish out, as we do have Langston Lions on the men's side that still are playing in their NIA tournament. So, as Drew did appropriately, he had it up. No team dropped out this week. Let's get to that, and let's look at also the teams receiving votes. Virginia State Trojans, 20-10, 12-4. Clark Atlanta Panthers sit at 21-8, 17-6. Miles Golden Bears at 20-8, 17-7. You have 3 teams outside of the top 5 that have 20-win seasons. Kudos for those teams. On the women's side, you saw one of them outside. Stillman Tigers sit at 18-9, 10-2. Tougaloo Bulldogs 17-8, 10-2. Tremendous seasons essentially for those top 10. The really special seasons when you talk about these top 5. They started off at number 5. Tuskegee Golden Tigers, 22-8, 19-5, 37 points. A little more changing in the poll rankings for the mid-major this week as they fall a spot from being number 4 last weekend, which means at number 4 you have Morehouse Maroon Tigers, 22-10, 17-5. They were up to number 2 after last week.
19-5.
Yep.
It was 19-5.
19-5 in terms of conference. Thank you for that, clearing that up. You would know, huh?
Yeah,
45
sure right.
They were ranked 2. We have the SID here. He's going to know those stats, particularly if not for anybody else, which he tends to do. He's certainly going to have it for Maroon Tigers. So we're going to trust him on that. At number 3, Virginia Union Panthers sit at 25-6, 13-3. Holding on to 2 first place votes, 60 points. As they stay at the 3 spot, this is where I want to get a little bit of your questions, your thoughts. Langston Lions move back at the top of the top 5. In fact, they're number 2, as you see. 23-6, 17-5, 3 first place votes, 67. They lost in that final, but a lot of teams got wins, so they had slid to the 5th spot. They're all the way up to number 2. Number 1 is Fayetteville State Broncos, regular season division champs, tournament champs. Did win a game in the tournament, lost one. 23-7, 14-2, 5 first place votes, 75 points. And they remain number 1 in week number 11. First, let me get your thoughts on the poll rankings. I'm going to start with you, AD.
You sure you want to start with me, Dr. Cavil?
No, I guess not.
But you done put me out there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get into this.
I want to hear.
Okay, let's start at the top. Fayetteville did beat Union, won the CIAA. And I'm looking at this 1, 2, 3. Both lost in the first round of the in the second round of the NCAAs. Both teams did pick up a victory in the first round of the NCAAs.
Yes.
So you have because Fayetteville has a CIAA championship regular season and postseason.
Okay.
You have to put Fayetteville above Union. The question is, do you put Langston above Fayetteville? Because Langston has picked up thus far 2 wins in their national tournament versus Fayetteville, who only picked up 1 win in the national tournament. Both tournaments feature 64 teams.
Yes.
A little bit of a different format in how they play them, but still, Langston with 2, Fayetteville with 1.
Early rounds are at the higher seeds. Langston.
That part is consistent.
Yep.
And Langston won on somebody else's court, just like Fayetteville picked up a win on somebody else's court. Might be laid a little bit towards Langston because Langston is still playing versus Fayetteville. Now, question is, do you move Morehouse above Union? Morehouse does have a conference championship, regular season, and tournament championship. But Morehouse did lose in the first round of the national tournament to not only the number 1 seed in the region, but the number 1 team in the nation in Division II, who also happen to be the defending national champions. How much do you weigh that in? And by the way, been in the national championship game, was in the national championship game and lost 2 years ago. I'm talking about one Nova Southeastern.
Yes.
Now, one thing about the SIAC, we talk about the CIAA, but the SIAC gauntlet, at least through the tournament, may have been a little bit tougher. Because when you got to the Final 4 in the SIAC tournament, not only did you have the 4 best teams in the conference, the number 1 versus number 2 on the East, and the number 1 and number 2 in the West, but You also had all 4 teams in the SIAC semifinals all had 20 or more wins at that point in time. When is the last time we've seen one of our conferences with their Final Four with all 4 teams with 20 wins or more? All 4 teams take care of business and you don't get an early round upset where you actually have the top 4 teams in the conference playing for the in the semifinals.
We're not gonna give him assignment to Brian because he looks at his dates a little differently.
Not too often. I want to leave a little bit of meat on for Wilton.
Yeah. And no, that's perfect because it sets up Wilton to say whether he agrees after he breaks down the poll ranking or as he goes through his analysis, he can say why he agrees, disagrees with what you just put on the table.
So, Doc, you know, sometimes AD, he'll agree with me sometimes, and then sometimes he'll be on the opposite end. So I'll just be like, you know, we have our moments where we agree and we disagree.
That's right.
Listening to him just say a lot of what he said, I agree with some of what he said, but then some of it I'm just like, okay, AD, make up your mind to where, like, do you want it to be based off of who won conference championships and regular season championships, or who you want, or do you want it to be based off who's still playing? Because you go from back and forth.
From a bias perspective, I need my Maroon Tigers at least one spot higher. I'm gonna be 100% on that. I'm gonna be 100%,
I knew that.
100% transparent.
I knew that.
I need my Maroon Tigers to be higher, and I need my respect. But as a media member, I can understand the argument on the other side, but y'all know where my bread is buttered. Do I need to pull it up? I pull it up again, remind everybody.
I understand.
And not only is my bread buttered in the SIAC, it gets toasted at Morehouse. So,
no, I get you. I understand that. I'll say this: number 5 with Tuskegee and number 5, I'm okay with that. I wouldn't put Morehouse above Virginia Union. I would keep Morehouse where they are, and this has nothing to do with the way that Morehouse lost in the playoffs or anything. I know they won the regular season and the tournament championships for SIAC, but I would definitely keep them at number 4. Now, things do get a little dicey per se, depending on how you want to look at Langston and Virginia Union number 3. Now, if you want to change between Langston and Fayetteville State, I would probably still keep Fayetteville State number 1, although Langston is still playing.
So this is the question I gotta ask. I think AD said he might put him up there, but this is the question because you said no at this point. How far would Langston have to play where both of you said, yep, at this point it's clear Langston should jump? Did that go one more? Or do you
one more game.
One more game.
Yep.
I mean, that's the difference for you. What about you?
2 is definitive. 1, and not for me, but for a lot of people out there. One more puts it up there, but 2 more, it makes it definitive for most people who would be voting in this poll.
Great comments. I have to agree with you. I think it's really close, but that's the fascinating. And the thing is, you have those 2 first place votes out there.
Yeah.
Do they stay there with those wins? Can they pick those up? You would think those pretty clear, but they still need to go deep enough where they can pull at least one away from Fayetteville State.
Question, Dr. Cavil, because you know the formula for this poll.
Mm-hmm.
Assume those 2 first place votes wind up at Langston. Mathematically, would it be a tie, or will it come down to who they vote second and who they vote third, as depending on who would actually win your national championship?
The second part is the key part. It depends on who comes in third and fourth, or who some people vote second, because some people could keep Virginia Union just saying the CIAA is stronger. They can move them to 2, and that could affect that even though they have first place votes, that the point differential may be different enough in there where it holds Fayetteville State there. So that's why I was asking also how far they would have to go where it may not even matter because you just get enough of the first place votes where it's like 6-4, changing everything up. Excellent question, and I hope the viewers appreciate that. With that, let's take a last break. We'll come back on the other side as things continue to move. Howard still has pretty solid control But there is quite a bit of time left. But the Bison are up 66-52 with 14:33 left in that contest. We'll be back after our last break. We'll get into a little bit of talk of some history I want to share with you. We have a little bit of video that we'll show with the players, courtesy of HBCU Game Day on YouTube. We'll play Howard. We'll play like about 2.5 minutes of that clip, and then we'll play about 2.5 minutes, if you would, Prairie View and the players, and we'll get back and talk your thoughts on the final tournament and some games coming up. We have Prairie View tomorrow. You can give some insights in some of the women's basketball. We'll be right back up after our last break.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
And we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
And what about HBCUs? You mentioned.
Absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you've got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay. That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
Right? I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Do we have the ability to pull that up, Drew?
No, it's not gonna pull up like we needed to, Dr. Cavil. We just
no problem. We'll work on it and see if I can get it cut and see if we can do it a little bit, maybe on Thursday. We'll see. We have time to do it there still. Would be timely. With that being said, it's perfect. It gives me a chance to take us down memory lane a little bit. Test question, since they call me the dean or certainly a professor, without exact, and I had the professors on here. Do either of you know which was the first HBCU program to play for a desegregated championship in any sport? In this case, I'll give you the sport, basketball. Do you know? I've said it on the show. So some of y'all, you know, anything I'm gonna test you on, I'm gonna give you the information, but I'm gonna see if you were paying attention. It sounds like AD Drew knows. So I won't ask you to answer, Wilton, but do you know?
I do not, but I
I
would like to
appreciate
know.
you. I like students like that. I like professors like that. It's like I do not. But he's willing to learn. AD Drew, you believe you know or know you know, right?
I want to say it was Tennessee State.
Well, guess what I have here? I have an article from the Pittsburgh Courier. So I'm going to read it and we'll find out together whether Tennessee State is accurate. TSU bows in NAIA Finals 60-55. McNeese slows up, lowers fast break. Earl Clanton III, special to the Courier, Pittsburgh Courier. This is from the archives, 1955 to 1966. This is March 24, 1956, gentlemen, is when this article was written, I should say. Again, that is 1956, March 4th, and today's date is March 17th. That is 70 years ago, a week from today, essentially. So again, TSU bows in NAIA final 60-55. McNeese slows up, losers fast break. I told you who was written for it. So Kansas City, Kansas, Texas Southern University, the first all-black Negro collegiate basketball team to reach the finals of the NAIA basketball tournament, had their dreams of a national championship rudely shattered here at the Kansas City Municipal Stadium Saturday night by McNeese 60-55. As more than 9,000 fans beat out a tattoo for more action, the McNeese quintet went into a successful semi-freeze with more than 11 minutes remaining in the game and eventually came out on top to a hard-fought victory. The winners went into their slow motion brand of basketball after they had taken command of a 46-43 lead. They took no chances after that. McNeese, by beating TSU, proved to be the jinx team for the three Negro colleges in the event. They eliminated Central, that is Central State, 87-74 in the second round. Tennessee State University, 76-68 in the quarterfinals before defeating TSU, Texas Southern University, championship game. Texas Southern got off in the game that counted most. They took an early 12-4 lead over McNeese. They held on to that margin until 2 minutes before the end of the first half, when the McNeese, led by their scoring ace, Bill Regal, tied the game score at 31-31. The eventual winners then moved out front 34-31, before a last-minute rally sent TSU off the floor with a 35-34 halftime lead. After the teams were tied twice in the opening minutes of the last half, 36-36 and 38-38, McNeese took a three-point advantage they never gave up. Regal and Frank Glenn paced the winners with 21 and 14 points, respectively. Top point producers for Texas Southern were Benny Swain, up in the Hall of Fame rafters up there at Prairie View. Wilton, you've been here. You've seen was up there.
Yep.
Particularly his, with 13, and Freddie Mara with 11, Freddie Moore's numbers up there as well. He also was a quarterback. While the winners were slowing down TSU, dreaded fast break, they had a 45-point lead. Shooting average, I should say, from the floor. TSU in the meantime was only able to hit on but 19 baskets in attempts for a below per 24-point program shooting percentage. From the free throw line, the winners connected on 10 of 19 attempts, while the losers were successful on 17 of 24 free throws tries. Swain, who had 29 points, second only to Regeland, the scoring department made all the tournament teams for that. So, 80 Drew, in terms of Tennessee State, they were actually the first team to make the NCAA tournament. And they were fortunate to some degree because actually Central State had made the tournament the year before. But if you think about the time when they were granted an invitation, their school, Central State, did not have the Negro terminology that a lot of schools had, so they didn't know that they were HBCU or Black college. So it was actually rescinded that year, unfortunately for them. And then next year, Tennessee State, at the end, they won a game, lost in the second round. Tennessee State won again. It wasn't until the third year that Texas Southern finally bested them. And then it was later where they moved from that District 9 that we talked about where all teams played the other, and only one got in where they moved to districts. And you ultimately got several teams in, like this year where you end up having 3, and you had the magical run by Texas Southern University. I share that with my students. This is the first time that I was able to pull an article. And so I thought it was appropriate time, as I did it a couple of weeks ago, doing another project. And obviously, as we're in postseason play, with Langston pushing forward in the NIA tournament, and obviously at the Division I level, with some other programs, I thought it was appropriate to just read the article and share that information for those that already knew, and some that knew and forgot, and others that had not heard it. And so that's pretty cool when you try to tell your students about creating a culture that could be in any HBCU, particularly for students here at Texas Southern University, even though I have on my purple because of what Prairie did this year. But I'll go to you, Drew. Any thoughts before we move forward and think a little more about the basketball?
So, like I said, TSU was the first team that.
Well, you were right. Notice I put that in there, TSU, to let you put the
now they were the first to play for finals. The first to win.
They were the first to win. That is correct.
Tennessee State.
Yep, and they won 3 in a row.
That's where you got me at.
Yeah,
I knew they were the first to win. I did not realize that the other TSU was the first to participate in the final. So you'd have got me on that one if I would have been on Jeopardy, Dr. Cavil.
Hey, keep you on your toes. Keeping you on your toes.
Yes.
Wilton, your thoughts?
As a person who definitely wasn't around during that time, I can certainly appreciate the historical moment, but it also makes me think to like just kind of seeing
70 years ago.
Right.
I know I look old and have all these braids. I wasn't here either.
But it makes you appreciate like the changes that have happened over time, but even looking at what's going on now, right? I mean, as a kid, for me, I've always seen a good, solid Texas Southern basketball team. And when you start looking back and peeling back the layers, you kind of wonder, like, okay, is it just that this team is good, or is there some type of major historical significance that surrounds some of these teams as you get older and start peeling back the layers to understand? So to see that, Texas Southern was involved, Tennessee State, and we know the incredible season that they've had under Coach Smith this year, like it just really makes sense as to like, while teams can go through lulls and not have great seasons for, years and years apart, but then when they do kind of come back and bounce back, you can relate it back to these, historical milestones in the past. And like I said, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Can I comment on this, Dr. Cavil?
UMBC has narrowed the score a little bit. It's a 5-point differential, as the Bison still have the lead, but it is trickled down, as I said, to 5 points, 72-67, with 7:51 left in that contest. Go ahead, Drew.
I was going to comment on that. Although the NAIA was the first ones to accept us, Emmett, Yes, the NAIA did discriminate against HBCUs. Also, if you go far enough back into history, that's probably a lesson for another day, Dr. Cavil, that you can probably dig into the archives and find that out. But I do know for a
No,
fact
you said it.
NAIA did
Certainly.
discriminate, but NAIA did open up first.
Yes. No, this 50s were the first year where they opened the door. It was 52 to be exact in terms of the terminology. So you're on it, and we can share it since we're talking about it there, and the conversation is going in that direction. So because it is important in terms of what that looks like. But when you talk about the fact is 50s and 60s where you get the desegregation in terms of what was taking place there during that time. And it was in 52 when you get your first participation of in the NCAA. From 52 to 55, you had the National Athletic Steering Committee. NASC operated a de facto, what I call a HBCU National Basketball Tournament. Events were featuring 18 fields among HBCU conferences at the time, CIAA, that you're familiar with, the SIAC, that you're familiar with, and the SWAC. You probably were not familiar with the fourth team at that time was the MWAC, the Midwestern Athletic Conference, that is totally separate, that we know now as the MEAC, which formed later, obviously, with the combination of many teams out of CIAA and a couple out of the SIAC. But it was 1951, after fighting for a while, that they sought to get an invitation and did not. And that's when I was talking about Central State. That was 1951. In 1952, they finally opened the door, and the first team to get in the door was Tennessee A&I, as we know now as Tennessee State. They doubled down and won it again in 1953 with Tennessee A&I repeating. But in 1954, Texas Southern knocked down the door, and then they did it again in 1955. 1956 is where the NAIA moved into regions. So you played in your region, and that's why you find 3 teams that were able to get into the region after really what the NAIA called districts. So you had a district that was in the South that featured many of the teams, such as Texas Southern, Southern University, Prairie View, basically the SWAC. Went out of that. A couple of teams would play in the tournament there. Texas Southern came out of that. And then you had a region in the area of the Midwest. Central State left the Midwestern Conference. And they played in a conference that was affiliated with historically white colleges. They won that district. Tennessee State won their district, and you got 3 teams that came in. And Texas Southern that year stormed off in 1956 and went into the tournament. A little more, we'll finish up on this. It wasn't until 1958 that the NCAA Division II, as we know now, it was called the college at that time. You had the university division that opened up, and that first year in terms of participation, in 58, you had Grambling State. In 59, you had North Carolina A&T, and they had their own version of a de facto national black basketball championship where they played in one essential division where all the HBCUs played each other. The winners came out and made the tournament to move on to the later round. And again, that was in 1958 where it was Grambling State, in 1959, North Carolina A&T. So in 1960, you had Prairie View that qualified coming out of the SWAC. In 1965, Wilton Jackson. The second, guess who you had? Jackson State. 1966, again, was Jackson State. Unfortunately, as you know too well, Jackson State won their first game in the tournament. It was against the HBCU. Wasn't a problem. As they were moving on in the tournament, they had to forfeit because the state in terms of their Jim Crow laws.
Yep, I remember
that they were not allowed to play a historically white college, and they literally were forced to forfeit the game at the time.
Yep.
So while we celebrate March Madness, our HBCUs, the pride we have, other teams that may be within our state that connects with some type of pride, and some fandoms, frankly, of some African-American Black players that play, you have that. Before the HBCUs come in, you did have what a lot of people remember with the legendary coach UCLA. He coached at Indiana State, and he actually had Black players. So you had the NIA desegregated in the NCAA, but they desegregated with teams that had Black players. You had some of those rules where you only allow one player on the team.
Right.
Legendary Coach Wooten was one of the first that did that. But it wasn't until 50 years later that you have the institutional desegregation, as I like to call it, the integration of HBCUs. So bit of history there.
And I was going to say, and you talk about in the 60s, don't forget about the Texas Wesleyan team, and I believe that was 66, that intentionally started all 5 Black players, African American, Negro players, as they were called back then, and only played Negro players in the championship game against all white Kentucky. So
one of the reasons
the Texas Wesleyan team was not all Black. They just intentionally started an all Black starting lineup against Kentucky in that year.
Correct. And one of the reasons that tends to get a little more, from my perspective, that concerns me at times than HBCU like Tennessee A&I, who had done championships before that. They operated at the university level, which we now know as the Division I level. So there was a lot more fanfare and a lot more eyes in terms of what they did in that decision they made. But that's often why I focus more on the HBCUs, because that history is hidden more than the other history that even has a movie about it, including what you see with North Carolina Central, when that game in the 40s that was played between Duke medical students and North Carolina Central, in terms of that legendary coach, John McClendon, that won and left Central to Tennessee. And that's why I asked, oftentimes I would love to see a historic matchup that featured North Carolina Central and Tennessee State. I'm working on that. We'll see if we can get it done and pay homage to John.
One last question. Yes, Blue Jacket, that is number 12 is Cedric Taylor, who did play for Morehouse last year.
Yeah,
first team all SIAC last year, freshman of the year 2 years ago in the SIAC, transfers to Howard. He's defensive player of the year this year. He's newcomer of the year. And if he doesn't get hurt, he probably would have won player of the year in the MEAC.
Yeah, he was right there. Good point.
He left. He got a championship there, but he could have stayed and got a championship with us. So.
Yeah, good thing. The other thing is when I went to the MEAC, I went to the MEAC on Thursday, then the SWAC in Norfolk, and then Atlanta. So that's why you see me still rubbing it hard. That was Friday and Saturday. It worked out, but got to talk with Melodies and Shore, who brought into interview after Coach Wooten and his players in regards to the 2 players he had brought. One of them came with him from Winston Salem out of the CIAA. Another player, A.D. Drew, came out of the SIAC in terms of some talented players that made first and second team MEAC. So it's fascinating how it's working out in the MEAC with a lot of players coming up from the SIAC and the CIAA. See a little bit in the SWAC, but not as much. Fascinating when you talk about that. I will be in Dayton tomorrow, so I'll give you some updates. I'll fly out first thing in the morning. Be back in the office on Thursday, get it down. Could not get out today because I wanted to make sure you all get a show after we weren't able to get it last week. Thank you for sticking with us. I would have been there watching Howard as they have gained a little more control. They were up now, 79-67, 425 as we tune off. We hope when we tune back in on Thursday, we all have gotten good news in terms of them finish out the deal. With that being said, I want to thank both of these gentlemen for getting here and helping to make this happen. to give you some updates on your HBCU sports, particularly at this exciting team. Shout out to the women. We'll talk a little bit more of that, major division teams in terms of the ranking on Thursday. As I said, I will be back that day, so we'll see if we can pull this off and get you those updates. Give you a little more probably on the women as their tournament started. We'll get to tell you who keep their dancing shoes on as folks have their dancing shoes on and start for the women. We'll see what happened on the men. Talk about some of these other tournaments as well. See what Langston does as they play on Friday, as they keep it going for the mid-majors to give you those updates. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Today we had the great guest of AD Drew, Wilton Jackson II. Again, we want to thank you for listening. It was inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Wilton, share with some of your friends. I'll see if I can get this over there in terms of how they wrote back in the day as you are providing them some knowledge of journalism and why it's so important to make sure that they do what they do, because you never know, 70 years from now, somebody could be reading their article, stating their name as they were purveyors of historical artifacts in terms of the history, particularly for HBCUs. Again, I want to thank you for listening, Dr. Viz, inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. They can be talking about how Prairie View did the unthinkable, the double W. Wilton, they won the football championship, had to go to Jackson against the mighty Jackson State.
I'm still rooting for him. I'm rooting for him hard. Like I need Dante Horn and Tyrion Joseph and Wells. I need them. I need them
to go off. You're right. Keep going off.
No,
then they come back in the same academic year and win the basketball tournament. Crazy.
Can they win baseball?
$2 million.
Can they win baseball?
That's the question. You got Bethune-Cookman out
there. We'll put a question mark on that today.
The new coach, can he do the Jackson? Well, they started off pretty good in terms of what they were able to get done at Jackson, but it's a long baseball season.
Yes.
It did start this past weekend. They played relatively respectful on the road to Bethune-Cookman. So the early indication is they went 0-3, but a 10-5, 6-3 score. So they were within scratching distance, if that gives us indication. We'll
now,
see.
if y'all win baseball,
man,
say hello, Commissioner's Cup.
For real. Here you go.
Yeah, golf will be an extension if he ain't already got it after winning last weekend. They probably signed it real quick. Shout out to that. And shout out to Coach Smith, who was having a tough season. A lot of folks who question where is he going to get around. Sealed the deal, at least on Friday, with guarantee escalating the contract, extended another year, but then didn't think that was enough and was able to get the championship. So kudos to him. I'd love to see him get an extension, to be frank with everybody. But with that being said, you're talking about what he's done over his career. He has now 5 championships. He has 3 regular season championships and 2 tournament championships, meaning 2 NCAA appearances. That's nothing to shake your head off in less than a decade coaching. With that being said, follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's Threads, Facebook, Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil, inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Wilt?
Of course.
AD?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Travel light, everybody.
8172, 319.
Holla.